big news, ladies and gentlemen. History was made. Donald Trump becoming, I think it's only the second president to have 2 non-consecutive terms now. He's not been inaugurated or sworn in, but he has been officially certified as president. Kamala Harris oversaw the certification, making her the first woman to certify her own loss in a presidential race. And there's very few people who have done that. I think Nixon.
Glass ceiling broken.
Al Gore, absolutely. So, Al Gore did. Nixon did. I'm not sure how many others, but the first woman.
First black woman.
That's right. Or Asian, depending on how you want to phrase it.
Depending if you're in the UK or in the US talking about it, right?
Depending if you want a visa or not.
Or you can call her Jamaican. She checked a lot of boxes. She's the first of a lot of things to fail. So congratulations, Kamala Harris. But we don't need to dunk on her. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this story. Judge Merchan denies Trump's request to delay sentencing. This is where things get weird. I'd love to sit here and we'd crack open champagne and be like, haha, look, hey, January 6th came and went, and Trump has been certified. But Trump is to be sentenced. I'm assuming he's got to report to New York City as president-elect, certified in a joint session of Congress. He's going to go before this judge who says, he's not going to give him prison time, but could very well give him prison time. I'll just say this. So Trump files saying we should quash this. Quote, defendant's motion for a stay of these proceedings, including the sentencing hearing scheduled for January 10th, is hereby denied. This is interesting. Trump is trying to prepare to be president right now. He's got a transition going on. They're trying to whip the votes to get his nominees confirmed. And now they're still trying to obstruct him. I got to say, guys, I don't think they're just going to roll over and give up. The certification process went without a hitch. No Jamie Raskin trying to insurrection or anything like that. There were protests. And then all of these liberal pundits come out and they say, see, we are honorable. But then they do things like this. Yeah. Don't tell me, you're not going to convince anybody that this Judge Merchan is not a Democrat operative. I don't mean that literally not working for Democrats. I'm saying he is of the political persuasion that is aligned with Democrats to help them out. They're not going to stop here. But what do you think happens? Trump goes to prison on Friday? Slow. It's a Friday. It's where they go to kill news.
Bold move, Cotton. I mean, this is the elected president. We came in, we said, want this guy. For them to put him into prison at this point after all of this, it wouldn't shock me if that was the move. We saw the first 4 years of his presidency, and they threw the book at him. We went through COVID, went through lies, Russiagate. It would not shock me to see them put him in prison for 12 days.
What if he did
12 days.
What if he did the oath from prison and then he pardoned himself from prison?
He can't pardon a state level charge.
He can't?
Nope.
Wow.
Raining on your parade over here.
I thought he was God Emperor.
Only federal charges. Only federal. But a lot of people are pointing out that you can be sworn in from anywhere. And was it Reagan? He was sworn in on a plane or something like that. I think that'd be based.
Yeah, you can be. You don't have to be sworn in at a specific location. It just has to be. I'm not sure who the actual person doing the swearing in. I'm not sure if if it has to be by an official, by a specific person that's in the federal government, or if it's just someone that represents
Google it.
The government.
Wouldn't it be crazy if Trump is sentenced to prison and then he's in prison and they swear him in as president, but he's still in prison?
But what would he? Yeah, you can't go to the Capitol. So how does that work?
They can swear. Apparently, you can be sworn in from anywhere.
You could email in prison. You could still get some things done behind bars. And I will tell you, the clout he will have going into prison, they're not going to mess with him. It's going to be very hard to get with him. He will have a lot of power there.
Yeah.
People. No, I mean, we can pardon anyone apparently at this point. So
there's
oh, right. They're going to be like, hey, I got a homie on federal charges. Yo, pardon him.
Exactly.
They're going to leave him alone.
There's no one that has to do the swearing in. The Constitution doesn't specify anyone. Usually it's Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, but it doesn't have to be anyone in particular. So it could be just, I suppose anyone could say, okay, take
Karen from Home Goods.
The warden.
Yeah.
The warden gives him the...
Oh, people are saying it was Lyndon Johnson when Kennedy was shot. Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. Sworn in on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that. Extenuating circumstances. But
Kennedy was shot. Why'd you use the passive voice there? Who shot him?
Because it's in the past.
Because
passive voice.
For some of us.
He was shot.
He was.
By a gun. Who shot him?
he was shot.
Was it Lee Harvey? No.
I'm
asking. I'm seriously asking. Who do you think shot Kennedy?
Who do I think?
Yeah.
I do think that it was Lee Harvey Oswald among the people shooting at him.
I don't know. Ron Paul. We did a
I
culture.
don't even think he was in the book depository.
Ron Paul said CIA did it.
That's correct.
That 6-4 museum.
That's what I understand.
Who didn't Rand say that too?
Yeah.
And then RFK Jr. said it.
But there's
And that one's the real weight when like RFK Jr. is like. Actually, I don't know if Rand said.
wasn't
I'm
there
pretty sure Rand
wasn't there paperwork or something like that released recently that implicated that the CIA was involved at least? I'll Google that to see.
They came
So we
out,
got a super
oopsie
chat.
daisies.
Joe is saying the swearing in has to be done by a judge. So here we go. We got this. We'll read a little bit more from the story. They say, today President Trump's legal team moved to stop the unlawful sentencing in the Manhattan DA's witch hunt. The Supreme Court's historic decision on immunity. The state constitution of New York and other established legal precedent mandate that this meritless hoax be immediately dismissed. Trump spokesperson Steve Chung told Fox, the American people elected Trump with an overwhelming mandate that demands an immediate end to the political weaponization of our justice system and all of the remaining witch hunts. We look forward to uniting our country in the new administration. Look, there's this clip on CNN where Scott Jennings gets told to zip it by that Bolden, whatever her name is. I don't know her name. And I'm just thinking, like, for one, like, who cares? Because nobody watches CNN. But on this show, she asks Scott specifically, like, how come so many people won't acknowledge how bad January 6th was? And then Scott plays this, like, I'm going to be nice to CNN and goes, well, some people have acknowledged it. And I'm sitting here being like, yeah, the voters did when they voted for Trump. They acknowledged that they didn't care.
Yep.
So here's my advice to all of you. When anyone at any point, your cousin, your aunt, whatever, your friend says, how come Republicans don't denounce January 6th? When the Krasensteins tweet at you, say, we all acknowledge January 6th by electing Donald Trump. That's how little we care about this nonsense you're screaming about.
Yeah, when I was shopping around my book originally with publishers and agents, they're telling me Trump was old news and that he was first. This is 2 years ago.
They told you he was old news, and he was.
It's old news. It's over.
It's over.
He's not going to make it through the primary. Yeah. I said, all right, I'll start my own publishing company. Thank you very much.
Wow, boy, that was dumb.
Yes, the publishing is even dumber than news, as I've learned.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're looking. Look, when it comes to books, it could be a book with just every page says buck, so long as the cover sells. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Michael Knowles had the book, right? It was Reasons to Vote Democrat. It was blank inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are no reasons.
I should have come up with that.
Yeah, I think we got a mandate on election day on November 3rd. That's it. Nobody cares about January 6th.
No.
Here we are, and we're pretty much over it. But I'm curious if you guys think that there's going to be any other plays outside of this. There are fears about assassination attempts, things like that. Like, are they going to let Trump just become president and get his agenda through?
So I've been here a couple of times in the interim between January 6th and today, and I have said, I don't think they're going to let him run, and then he won the election. But they shot him in between. That thing did happen.
Horrible.
That thing did happen. And I'm looking at this, and this is kind of the death throes we're seeing from the media. They're not done. And I think that even if he's sworn in, they're not going to stop. We're going to see 4 more years of this. And I wonder, we saw the playbook last time. I am genuinely worried about what comes next.
So I honestly think that they're limited in what they will be able to get away with because of the fact that it was such a resounding victory for the right generally, right? You've got, and it's not just here in the U.S. Like the writing's on the wall for Trudeau. You've got right-wing parties all over Europe are gaining favor with their respective countries. I think that people are tired of the left's narrative, which is our democracy or our way of life is threatened by these people that have a different perspective on politics. And I think that the reason why I think that's the reason why you see all these right-leaning parties gaining favor is because people are tired of it. So I don't think that I think you're right in that people on the left still would love to be able to do something, but I think that they don't have as much ability because people are tired and they're not listening to the left as much anymore.
Right. Maybe
I don't know. The CNN thing was funny to me because they're still trying to play this game of both sides, and they had on Bakari Sellers, who just lied and said there's no U.S. troops. Trump's inheriting a government with no U.S. troops overseas in a combat zone. And then Scott Jennings mentions like there are. And then she stops him from getting into the details. We have 2,000 troops in Syria.
Yeah.
How could you have a dude go on TV and just lie like that? I got to tell you, we had that dude Luke on a couple weeks ago.
Luke Beasley.
And everybody
That was fireworks.
everybody loved that clip. And I'm like, look, we debated about like left wing and right wing violence, and I'll tack this one on. He's coming back because he's a good dude. Look,
I mean, props to him for
he's coming back on.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's coming back. He's going to be in town, and he said he'd love to come back and do more. We have another show planned in like a week or two, so it'll be fun. But the problem with the left right wing violence thing is that the left is a cult, where as long as you adhere to their social order, you're leftist, and everyone else is right wing. So when they say like the right wing is more violent, it's like, dude, you're comparing like some Bitcoin libertarian tech guy in San Francisco and claiming he is part of the same ideological faction as a shaved head tattooed neo-Nazi who lives in the wilderness of Appalachia. Like two completely different worldviews with no relation whatsoever, and you're like right-wing violence. I'm like, yeah, you can't compare these two people. Like a middle-aged, overweight, day-laboring Trump supporter who wants to watch a game of football and order a slice of pizza, votes for Trump and is called right-wing, and then they say, you're violent because some unhinged racist guy killed someone in a church. And it's like, but this guy doesn't share any values with that other guy. The left, specifically, these people all have an overlapping adherence to their social orthodoxy. That's what we'll criticize.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. The fact that the left is defined as narrowly as possible when the left is talking about left-wing violence, and the right is defined as broadly as possible.
And Antifa is by design. If you walk up to somebody at a protest and you're like, yo, are you Antifa? They're not going to say yes.
Yep.
So it's by design, a flat hierarchy similar to like the terrorist cells that operate around the world. And, it's easy to, like spot a Proud Boy because they're proud.
And Democrats.
Right, so I've been on the ground and I've seen these black bloc types. We call them Antifa. They have different views. They do. But they fight together. Yeah. So it's like when you see a tanky, like a communist Soviet style, like we should control everything. And then you see a radical, they call themselves anarchists, but they're not. They're extremely violent. But they don't. They'll tell you, oh, we don't like the tankies. We don't like the communists. And I'm like, you are wearing the same clothes as them, standing next to them and fighting together. Yeah, bro, you're not gonna pull a fast one on me. I'm sorry, dude. Like you guys fight together. You can argue all day and night. But once again, they try to make that claim that some like anarcho-capitalist tech guy who buys a bunch of Bitcoin is comparable to a neo-Nazi. They're two completely distinct things.
Yeah. My complaint is that they called me a cult. I'm in a cult, right? But no one eats the right more than the right. We bury each other on a daily basis. We call each other out. We're honest. We actually have our convictions, and we speak about them.
Yeah, the whole
look at the whole
thing.
the H-1B thing.
Yeah, I mean that was everybody was decrying like, oh, like this is the right is eating itself, like you said, but I view that as actually having a conversation about immigration that has been tabled for 30 years.
But it wasn't even the right, really. It was the disaffected liberals who joined MAGA. Many of them arguing with MAGA. MAGA has always been immigration critical to a great degree. Like Milo tweeted out 20-year moratorium on immigration. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard that from a lot of Trump supporters. Yeah. That's not surprising. And then it's the Elon types who were former liberals who voted for Trump because of wokeness who are saying, no, we're for H-1B. And it's like, right, this is now the reckoning between the disaffected liberal types and the conservatives.
I don't want to play world police. I don't want to play world bank. And I definitely don't want to play world refugee camp. And my thought has always been, get your house in order. And until our house is in order, maybe we stop playing world refugee camp.
Yeah, my view, it's really funny because there's like this meme going around that said, I'd like to find it, Team Elon and Team USA. And they put me in Team Elon. And I'm like, I'm telling you guys, a lot of it was bot farming, was a bot attack. And people got mad at me for saying that the censorship attacks against Elon appeared to be an op. And I'm not wrong. I'm not saying there's no real sentiment against him, but people who are really stupid can't understand this. So like all these like people on X start tweeting at me being like, "Oh, you're wrong. It's not an op. I actually believe this." And I'm like, dude, when there's an opinion that exists, of course there are people who actually believe it. When bot accounts start tweeting generic racist things that kill the argument against H-1B, it looks like an op. And so me coming out and saying it looks like an op, the bot farms instantly put me in the Elon camp, despite my opinion on H1B being, yeah, we should suspend it and reform it because it's broken. But they don't know how to address that because they're not real people.
Well, it's nuance. That's a tough thing, you know.
AI can't handle it.
Well, plus, like nowadays, you know, like what even is, because like I'm pro free speech and anti-war. That would have made me a left winger 15 years ago. But now, you know, as the sands are shifting, as the paradigm is shifting, the definition of what these boxes are is completely changing. Like I ain't no neocon, I'll tell you that.
Left and right are easily defined. The right is anybody who watches the news and has a general understanding of what's happening, and the left is people who either know or don't, but either way just adhere to their social orthodoxy. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.